wider canvas here. And let's see, Lamborghini. Okay, I think I got the gist of it proportionally, but we're gonna start with just a quick block drawing. And this block drawing is just gonna help me kind of set things up. By block drawing, I mean just kind of a wireframe to identify some key points that I can use for my sketch. So sometimes I'll start out with something like this, almost as if you just carved it out of, you know, foam with a hot wire or something. It's just a good way to take some of the pressure off when you're drawing something more complex. Get those blocks, maybe major points in. Alright, something like that. Let me erase this other line because that was completely wrong. I do like what they've been doing with the lights, and I don't know the models, so you guys are probably like, oh, he doesn't know anything about Lamborghinis. But yeah, I really don't. Alright, so yeah, these cars are weird, proportionally speaking. I know I keep moving the canvas off screen. Sorry about that. Okay, let's scale this down, and I'm gonna rotate. Nah, I'll just keep it like this for now. Let's block in the wheels. And some of this may have to change, which is fine. But, you know, just as a kind of wire drawing block, kind of help things. So we have one wheel here, another wheel here. If you ever want to check perspective, okay, do it that way. Just make sure you have that half and half relationship where this line, as it goes back to perspective, or to the vanishing point rather, would intersect roughly at the halfway point. Yeah, I can tell this is going to be a weird sketch because I don't do a lot of these cars, like I say, so I'm probably going to have to do some warping. So sometimes I'll sketch and then distort my sketch if I need to kind of get the proportions right or close to right. Just kind of a little bit of a massaging. Like, I think one of the problems here is that this car, okay, I'm going to get out of this mode and go back. Right now, the way I've sketched it, proportionally, I have 1, 2, 3.5 wheels between the front and back wheel, and I think this back wheel needs to come in a little bit more. Maybe something like that. Alright. Pretty low to the ground as well. But at this point, I can probably start to throw in some graphics and cut things up a little bit. Maybe something like that. Throw on a center line. Just start to chop it up a little bit. Now, as far as the body side goes, I want there to be some more roll in this. The two wheels in the back is kind of interesting. It's almost like some sort of dual-wheeled Lamborghini type thing. Alright. So what I want to do here is try to achieve some sort of flow through this form. Okay, so just softening this block drawing now a little bit. Okay, introducing our cab. I'm going to chop this A-pillar like so. Maybe introduce some foil or wing. Okay. Maybe something like that. So yeah, kind of want to bring these lines all the way through. And like I was saying, I do kind of like what they're doing with their lights right now. So I'm trying to figure out some pattern that's kind of cool. And then I'll use this as an underlay to do our final sketch. But you want to ask yourself the question, what's the story of the form and where do these lines go? And if something gets really messy, I'll jump to like my red and then I can add the clarity. Right, so maybe it's just trying to simplify things a bit with this red line. For example, all on the same sketch. Alright, so something like that. Gotta do some cool wheels, I guess. So I'll just start planning for that. So yeah, the red line kind of just helps me add to the design without having to create a new layer. Just figure out some of these things that I might want to add to this sketch. So Sketch-A-Day Live, thanks for joining. Thanks for the suggestions, support, all that good stuff. If you're joining from YouTube, or sorry, from Instagram, thanks for making it this far, finding us. All right, so here I have to make sure that this side and this side are relating to each other in terms of where I'm putting those perspective lines and so forth. And then I'll just plan for some sort of shadow or something to ground it to the page. All right, so now that I have that layer, I can drop the opacity. When in doubt, rough it out. So drop the opacity. Okay. And now start to do the final sketch. And as I'm doing this, just trying to start out by focusing on the right side of the vehicle here. And I'm going to make some changes as well. Okay. I don't know if you guys have seen the Netflix show. I forgot the name of it, but it's like people building old cars into like drag race cars, and then they compete with people who own Lamborghinis or McLarens, stuff like that. I forgot the name of it. It's pretty fun. If you have Netflix, check it out. And once again, the point here is to redraw my sketch, not trace. I will use the drawing assist tool to kind of get this right as well. Yeah, I don't think I've ever even drawn a Lamborghini in my life. So again, thanks for the challenge as always. They're kind of like just these aggro transformer-like vehicles. So I've never been a super huge fan, but since you guys weren't quick on the draw, that's what we're doing. Abhishek wins today. Alright, I gotta make sure I get this light. So one way to do that is just look at the distance here and see if you can map that over, make corrections, look at these relationships, where I've got these elements and so forth, and see how far up that goes, like that. And just try and create a match, if you can. Alright. And now back to front here, I'm just going to draw one line, like so, and that's now low drag and high arrow lines. Yes. And then just above it, I'll use that for some shadow stuff. A little bit of a cheat here as well. I guess the doors on these are, what do you call them? Gull wing doors. Right, so I'll just keep that as my door. This pillar I'm going to have just kind of fade and disappear. And just hint at the interior, just a little bit, but not much. One, because I don't know enough about this, but two, the focus of the drawing is not the interior, but rather the exterior. Because that's my story and I'm sticking to it. Sometimes in Procreate you do get inadvertent strokes, so you'll want to check those from time to time, or check for those rather. Okay, I'm resisting the temptation here. Let's see. So surface wise, I've got an edge there, so this should probably just roll on that edge and come down rather than having that secondary transition. Oops. We'll keep it simple. Almost like an inherent 80s vibe to something like a Lamborghini because of the way the geometry is. Like, I don't even know what the taillights look like, so I'm just gonna kind of hint at a taillight. Quick check, turn off the underlay, leave the overlay right there. Okay. Alright, so now I'm going to do these wheels, and I'll just do one, like so. Let's go ahead and edit the shape. Duplicate. Oops, did not put that on a separate layer. So new layer. Throw an ellipse in, like so. Edit the shape. So what I'm trying to do is get these two blue dots on this shape to rest on this line. Now I'll duplicate. There's another error stroke. Erase that. So duplicate, and now I can transform down like so. Let's keep these super low profile. Duplicate again. Scale down. And then duplicate again. Scale down like so. And I'll use this as a base for, oops. For these rims, or the spokes rather. Alright, just all kind of diving down to this central point. And I only need to do one of these rims. Because I can duplicate this and just move it back. And I'm like 90% of the way there. A couple lines here just to hint at the thickness of the rim itself. So actually this should be more like, because basically I'm saying there's another portion to this wheel or rim. It's coming through here, and so just trying to represent, you know, what that is. So a couple lines here, shadow, 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 and cutout. Just like that. Cool. So we have our wheel, and I'm just going to select these and group them. And I will tap on the layer, hit flatten. Now I can duplicate and move this layer to the back, scale it down like so, and then freeform scale it. I'm gonna have to zoom in here. Okay, and now position this where I want it to be, somewhere there. All right. So let's work on the wheel flares, and then the coloring should go fairly quickly. So slight wheel flare here, maybe a little bit of a surface. Or not wheel flare, but wheel well. All right, have that come down. It's going to be our wheel right there. All right, I think we're in pretty good shape here. So now I can turn off my lower layer. And that gives me a chance to kind of take a look at the whole thing and decide if I'm missing anything or if I want to add something. This is kind of a weird detail. I'm trying to figure out what to do with it, but I also like it. So maybe I'll just tweak that. Yeah, I'll just have it be a signal light. This line would not be completely dark, so I'll recreate it, but just make it a little bit lighter. Like so. So that's more of a surface line. All right. Got a little part line here. Something like that. What color should we make this? You guys let me know. I feel like this side is a little bit high, so I'm gonna, let's see, let's pick all of these, group, and then we're gonna flatten this. And now, oops, zoom out here. Now I'm going to do a warp. Just tweak this side of the vehicle. It's just felt a little bit too high. But if I want the front high, I can do that. If I want to push it down, you know, there's a lot of stuff we can do, but I'm just gonna pinch this side of the vehicle and then pull it just a little bit. All right. So if you want to do a check, you can do that. Grab some red, new layer, you know, throw some perspective lines on, like so. So that way you can kind of see, okay, how's my warp? That's what I'm trying to fit my sketch to in terms of perspective. All right. So it's a good way just to check. I eyeballed it, but pretty useful way. Okay, so we got some colors. We've got purple, yellow, lavender, red or green. Lavender sounds interesting. So let's do it. I think green and yellow are pretty common. When was the last time you saw a lavender Lamborghini? I mean, for real. For real. All right. So what I'm going to do here is just fill in the whole thing with my round brush. I really need to make like a favorites brush palette and then just like have all my favorites. And then, actually that's a good idea. But it'll just make it easier for me to find stuff. This is going to look like the Joker's Lamborghini or something. So I always like to fill in solid, and then we can, actually, I'm gonna go a little bit lighter. So a little bit lighter there. On a new layer now, I'm gonna just paint with some gray, nice big soft airbrush on the middle, like so. And as well on the bottom and side. Okay, and switch this blending mode. Well, we can play with the opacity, but also switch the blending mode to multiply. Okay, so we got a lot of our lighting done there. And I'll continue color blocking, but now I can hit select, and then if there's something that I need to be gray, for example, I've already made this selection. So on the front, if I want this front clip to be gray, just right through there. I can make the wheels gray. It's a good base for rendering out my wheels. And I will throw some marker on top of this and call it good. I'm not going to do a photoreal sketch here or rendering. On a new layer, I'm going to go ahead and outline the interior as well, or at least the greenhouse of the vehicle. So yeah, I've never sketched a Lamborghini before, so thanks for the challenge. I did look at maybe 3 pictures for reference, but as far as placement of the vehicle on the page, proportion, all of that. That's all just done out of my head. And that's how I use reference if I have to or choose to use it. Oops, we have a little mishap here. Sometimes that happens with the app, so I'm gonna quit Procreate, and then I've got to reopen it. And I wish they would fix that, but maybe they just don't know about it. All right. So we got that filled in. Let's fill in our shadow there. And the background, I'll get to that later. I'm just going to do simple shadow background. Like a soft gradient black type thing. So now I'm going to just paint in some hard highlights. Kind of like we did with the watch. But this time, just some hard highlights. Fast red taillight. Okay. I can do that. You guys seem to really like cars for some reason. I've sketched a lot of cars in my life. So here's a tip in Procreate. I don't use this a ton, but if you want to, you can. So if you tap on your brush, under brush stroke path, you can crank this streamline all the way up, but it just smooths out your stroke a little bit. So you see how that's kind of wiggling a little bit as I'm drawing. It feels weird, I don't like it. You can even see how the stroke changes as I slide here. Okay, so if you want to use that, you can. It helps your stroke just be a bit cleaner, but it also makes it feel like a robot did your sketch. Which, if that's what you're after, then cool. All right, almost there. So now I'm going to two-finger tap on this layer, crank the opacity down, way down, like so, and then on a new layer, take an airbrush from my new set, this little detailed air, soft clean air. Actually, I think I might use this air highlighter. It's gonna help me, yeah. Now, if your car is outside, you're actually going to get a bit of blue, like a really, really light blue from the sky. So you could pick that. I'm going to jump back to this soft clean air, but you could pick that and use that as your highlight. You'll get just a little kiss of blue there happening in these highlights and on your car. Assuming this is outdoors, so it's something you can do. Just to help out. Play with the blending mode. If add looks good, you can use that. Crank the opacity down, for example. Play with your layers to get the effect that you're after. All right, so we're getting pretty close. Ooh, Remy, that's a great idea. Maybe I could do a show on different sketching styles. That's a really good idea. I think this is my longest show yet, too, by the way. We just hit 2 hours, guys. So thanks for hanging with me. All right, let me think about how to finish this quick because I am running out of steam. You know, the other day I went, let's see, I went from waking up in the morning, and I wake up pretty early, to 10 or 10:30 at night without eating. And that's because I have kids, and it's rough, you know, when all they want is what they want, and you can't really think about yourself a lot of times. So that was a rough day. Today is not like that though. And I just had a lot to do. I'm excited to post the recaps of these. I hope you guys enjoy that new feature that I'll be rolling out. Got a couple other recaps I'll be uploading as well. So watch out for those. For the lights, I just put a nice crisp brush in place here, and I'm just giving this a little bit more definition on the far side. And I'm not gonna render out lights fully or anything like that. So easy peasy way, just a little bit of white on the inside here. And then we'll add a glow of some sort. If you wanted to, you could hint at individual LEDs, for example, but it gets a little bit busy. And again, I'm not shooting for perfect line work and photorealistic stuff here. All right. So I'm gonna start illuminating some of these upward facing surfaces on the front clip. Okay. So hard shapes like that. Lower the opacity. You can do all the dark areas as well. Just kind of fill those in because I will be adjusting the opacity to make these not totally black. You can drag and drop the color if it's a big area. The contrast is nice though. But if you want something a little bit more realistic, don't go totally black. And then, let's see, we have our signal light on the side. So I'll just shade that in. Now on the side of the vehicle, right here, I do want to simulate the ground a bit. So if this was on, I mean, it's on light ground right now, but let's just assume it's on a, you know, there's a horizon or something. So what I'm going to do here now is take this round brush and right around the midpoint for curvature on the vehicle, just start to paint in solid dark like this, right next to that horizon line as well. Keep hoping that the app doesn't crash again. Same trick, lower the opacity way down. Except in this case now, I'm going to actually erase toward the bottom of this area. If you want to increase the contrast or suggest that there's other elements in the environment, you can do that. Take like this inker brush, for example. Something like that. And now I'm going to drop the opacity So automotive renderings like this, like they take a long time for me anyways. So like I said, I'm more of a loose, quick sketcher than the guy who's gonna sit for 4 hours and get it done. Unless someone's paying me, I will do it. And I have done it, but I don't love it. So I hope that makes sense. And hopefully you guys are picking up on some stuff here that you can use in your own sketches. This is Sketch-A-Day Live. We've been going for 2 hours, guys. Thanks for hanging. But yeah, I feel like rendering one car could be a whole show on its own, for real. I'm gonna jump back to the sketch. Let's see, where did I put you? Right there. And just clean up a little of these lines. But yeah, for real, man. It could be a whole show on its own. One car. Just adding a little bit of shadow here. I'm going to switch to multiply. Play with the opacity. And now, so remember we had that initial layer where I'd kind of spray painted over. I want to make sure that we have contrast in the right areas. So I'm going to kind of do the same thing. Just hit some of these areas on the car to make sure we have enough contrast, okay? Paint and erase where you need to. Switch this to multiply, like so. And to enhance the color a bit, I'm going to use some of the purple. So if you tap and hold on the screen, you have this little color picker that shows up. So now I'm going to go real intense purple here. Just kind of hit a few spots. I guess I didn't do the wheels yet. I just realized. Alright, and sometimes I just like to play with the blending mode and see what happens, and you know, if something feels right, I'll just stick with it. There's not really a science for me when it comes to those blending modes beyond, hey, that looks or feels pretty good. And sometimes that's multiply. And that's okay. Car is the hardest thing to sketch, yes. It is, well, cars and people. People are hard as well. All right, let me do a quick wheel here, or at least shading on the wheel. And for that, I'm going to, let's see, let's go with some deep black hair. Just make it really dark on the inside. And now I can just paint with light using one of my markers. I'm going to use this clean marker. Try and find something that's about the width of these spokes. Actually, I'm not going to use the clean marker. Oh yeah, this looks good. This real marker. It does have a heavier texture to it, but I kind of like it. Just paint these highlights on.
Hey, it's time to get up.
Can't be that time already.
Come on, you know you're gonna have a busy
Yeah,
Did I go through this entire playlist already?
let's get 'em out.
Oh no, I didn't. Okay. I was a little bit worried because sometimes if you play the wrong music, they'll like shut your stream down. But again, because you have the contrast, the three-dimensional form is just easy to kind of pull out from all of this. Super easy. At least I think so. So maybe just something like that, and I'm going to now duplicate that layer and just drag it over and place it on the back, as well as right here I was covering up a bit of my line work, so I just want to erase a bit of that highlight. Let's go ahead and merge down, and I'll do the same thing on this front wheel like so. And now on top of everything I'm going to add just a bit of highlighting. Okay, so just making some of these areas just a little bit brighter. There's probably more work I could do on the rims as well, like things like this, right? Oops, I'm running out of battery, guys, on my iPad. I should probably charge it up. Just gonna plug this guy in so I don't die. Thanks for being a part of the stream today. All right, now we won't die. Okay. So yeah, a couple things like this. Some highlight stuff. Just gonna help it pop a bit more. But yeah, I don't do a ton of these car drawings that take forever, because who has time for that, man? Like, there's some shading I want to do down here. Like, I want this shape right here to mimic this shape, but I'm feeling lazy. So let's pick this air highlighter and just throw that in. So now it at least relates somewhat. See if we can get this edge to just roll a bit. Make sure that's behind our highlights that we put in. Yeah, that feels a lot better. So this soft air highlighter is also a part of that kit that you can get on Sketchday. And like I said, you kind of have to play with them, figure out what works for you. But I use them all the time. Love them. So feel free to check them out. And let me know what you think, if there's something that should change or if you're not happy for some reason. I'm always happy to help make that right for you. Alright, so something like that. I don't like how close the drawing is to this side though. I mean this side. So I probably need to select all these layers and move them and do a bunch of stuff. I don't want to do that. So let's go ahead and just resize the canvas so that now the drawing is centered. It's going to take a minute. There we go. And let's go back to my shadow right here. I'm just going to pick this color and now extend that shadow just a bit. Alright, just like that. And I am going to use an airbrush for the ground. Just a nice big airbrush. Oops, looks like I reached my limit of layers, so I'm going to merge a few together. Hopefully I don't regret that later. But yeah, just something like this. And I'm going to take some of this purple on a new layer and just hint at very subtly a little bit of purple in there for reflection, and then where the wheels are as well, just make that a little darker. Okay, just subtle. And then one more thing, pick this white. Okay, that's not showing through as well as I wanted it to, so I'm going to scrap that idea and just slightly vignette the edges of the scene. Okay, something like that. Alright, so there's my Lamborghini. My first Lamborghini ever. There's some stuff I'd change about it, maybe get a little bit more expressive, but for first attempt, not bad. And I think with a little bit of work, it would definitely be a lot better. Oops. Let's do it on this layer. I wanted to lighten up the glass here just a little bit. Alright, just a little bit there. Okay, so let's recap. We did a lot today. We did our Lamborghini. Oh yeah, taillight in motion. I forgot about that. Thank you, Abhishek. I'm not going to do it in motion. I'm just going to keep it static. But maybe just with a little bit of a glow. And I guess I should make the headlights glow as well. So I can do that. We reached our layer limit again. Alright, merge down. Merge down. Alright. So I'm just going to add a little bit of glow here. So this is a case where using the add mode can really just help your drawing pop a lot more. So I shifted the layer blending mode to add, and that's what we ended up with. All right, thank you for the idea. This was a challenge. I think with a bit more practice, I could get a lot better at this, but it is what it is. And like I said, there's some areas here that I probably could improve, but you know, time.